Zara Veltar stood at the window of her family's home and watched the ocean waves crash against the crystal shores. The blue waters of Valonia had always made her feel calm, but today they brought no peace. Today everything would change. Her father sat in his chair, looking older than his 60 years. Marcus Veltar had once been the richest trader on their world. His ships carried goods between the stars, and other families looked up to them with respect. But that was before the humans came. "They are here," her mother Elena said, her voice shaking. She pointed toward the sky where 3 dark ships were landing near their house. The ships had the mark of the Galactic Commerce Council on their sides. Zara felt her stomach twist with fear. She knew why they had come. Her family owed money to the Hegemony Banking Consortium, more money than they could ever pay back. It had happened slowly over 5 years, as human traders took over their business routes one by one. The humans were smart, Zara had to admit. They made deals that seemed fair at first but always gave them the advantage. They understood trade laws better than anyone expected from such a young species. Her father had tried to compete, but he lost contract after contract until their family company was nothing. "Father, what will we do?" asked her younger brother Ben. He was only 16 and still believed their father could fix anything. Marcus shook his head slowly. "I have tried everything, son. We have no choice but to listen to what they offer." The door chimed and 3 beings walked into their home without waiting for permission. 2 were hegemony officials with gray skin and cold black eyes. The 3rd was human, wearing an expensive suit. Zara had never seen a human up close before. He looked smaller than she expected, with brown hair and pale skin. His eyes were blue like the Valonian Ocean, but they held no warmth. "Marcus Veltar," the lead hegemony official said, reading from a datapad. "Your debt to the consortium now stands at 8 million credits. Your assets total less than 1 million. You cannot pay what you owe." Zara's father nodded. There was no point in arguing with numbers. "However," the official continued, "we have received an offer that would clear your debt completely." The human stepped forward. "My name is Jonathan Hayes, and I represent several human trading companies. We have a proposal for your family." Zara watched her parents exchange worried looks. Any deal with humans would not be in their favor. "Your daughter," Hayes pointed at Zara, "is 24 years old and unmarried. One of our traders, Jake Morrison, needs a wife to help him with business in this sector. If she agrees to marry him for 5 years, we will consider your debt paid in full." The room fell silent except for the sound of ocean waves outside. Zara felt like she could not breathe. They wanted to sell her like cargo to pay their debts. "This is outrageous." Elena stood up, her blue skin turning darker with anger. "My daughter is not property to be traded." Hayes remained calm. "With respect, Mrs. Veltar, Valonian law allows for debt marriages. The contract would be legal and binding. Your daughter would have the protection of human law during the marriage." "Human law," Marcus said the words like they tasted bad. "What protection could that give her?" "Mr. Morrison is a respected businessman," Hayes replied. "He owns a successful trading company and lives on New Haven, a frontier world with good opportunities." "Your daughter would want for nothing." Zara finally found her voice. "And if I refuse?" The hegemony official answered without emotion. "Then your family's assets will be seized. Your father will work in the labor camps until the debt is paid. Based on current rates, that would take approximately 40 years. Ben stepped closer to his sister. "Zara, you cannot do this. Humans are barbaric. They have no honor, no culture. They fight wars for no reason and destroy everything they touch." Zara had heard the same stories all her life. Humans were violent and unpredictable. They had only been in space for a few hundred years, yet they already controlled trade routes that older species had used for thousands of years. They were like children with dangerous toys. But as she looked at her father's tired face and her mother's tears, Zara knew she had no real choice. Her family's honor was already destroyed. At least this way they could survive. "What would be expected of me?" she asked Hayes. "The contract is simple. You would be legally married to Mr. Morrison for 5 years. You would live in his household and represent his interests in business dealings with your people. After 5 years, you would be free to return to Valonia or make your own choice about where to live." "And children?" Elena asked the question Zara had been afraid to voice. "The contract includes no requirements for children," Hayes said. "Any such decisions would be between your daughter and her husband." Zara walked to the window and looked out at the ocean again. 5 years seemed like forever, but 40 years in labor camps would destroy her father. Her family had already lost everything else. All they had left was their lives and each other. She turned back to face the group. I need to know more about this Jake Morrison. What kind of man is he? Hayes pulled out a data pad and showed her a picture. The human looked to be in his 30s with dark hair and kind eyes. He was not what she expected from a human trader. He started his company 10 years ago, Hayes explained. He employs over 200 people from 12 different species. His business practices are considered fair and honest, even by non-human standards. How do I know you are telling the truth? Zara asked. You may research him yourself before making your decision, Hayes replied. But we need an answer within 3 days. After the visitors left, Zara's family sat in silence for a long time. Finally, her mother spoke. There must be another way, Elena said. We could sell the house, leave Valonia, start over somewhere else. Marcus shook his head. The debt follows us anywhere in consortium space. And where could we go? We know nothing but trading, and the humans control most of the good routes now. Ben slammed his fist on the table. This is all their fault. If the humans had never come here, none of this would have happened. But they did come, Zara said quietly. And now we must deal with the world as it is, not as we wish it were. Over the next 2 days, Zara learned everything she could about Jake Morrison and his company. The reports were surprisingly positive. He paid his workers well, followed safety rules, and had never been accused of cheating anyone. But he was still human, and humans were unpredictable. On the 3rd day, Zara made her choice. She would marry the human trader and save her family. It would mean giving up 5 years of her life, but it was better than watching her father die slowly in a labor camp. As she signed the marriage contract, Zara wondered what kind of life awaited her among the humans. Would they treat her like a servant or worse? Would she ever see her family again? All she knew for certain was that her old life was ending, and something completely unknown was about to begin. The transport ship shook as it entered New Haven's atmosphere. Zara pressed her face to the small window and looked down at the world that would be her home for the next 5 years. She had expected to see a rough human settlement with basic buildings and dirty streets. Instead, she saw a beautiful city with tall towers made of glass and metal, surrounded by green forests and blue lakes. The ship landed at a busy spaceport where beings from many different worlds worked together. Zara saw humans talking with tall, thin Altarians, and short, furry Kessans loading cargo alongside human workers. She had never seen so many species in one place working as equals. A human woman with short black hair and friendly eyes met her at the landing platform. You must be Zara, she said with a warm smile. I'm Amy Chen, Jake's business partner. He's waiting for you at home. Zara had practiced speaking the human language called English, but Amy's accent was different from the lessons she had learned. Still, she understood well enough. Is Mr. Morrison angry that he had to wait? Zara asked. On Valonia, keeping a husband waiting would mean punishment. Amy looked confused. Angry? Why would he be angry? He's just excited to meet you properly. They rode through the city in a hover car, and Zara was amazed by what she saw. The streets were clean and well-maintained. Gardens with colorful flowers grew everywhere. Children from different species played together in parks while their parents watched and talked. How long have humans lived here? Zara asked. About 50 years, Amy replied. Jake's grandfather was one of the first settlers. Back then it was just a small farming colony. But as more species came to trade, it grew into what you see now. They stopped in front of a house that was larger than Zara had expected, but not enormous. It was built in a style that mixed human architecture with designs from other worlds. Gardens surrounded the building, full of plants she did not recognize. Jake Morrison was waiting on the front steps. He was taller than his picture had shown, with broad shoulders and calloused hands that spoke of hard work. But his eyes were gentle, and he smiled when he saw her. Welcome to New Haven, Zara, he said, speaking slowly so she could understand. I hope your journey was not too difficult. Zara had prepared herself for demands and orders, but Jake simply stood there waiting for her to speak first. When she said nothing, he continued. I know the situation is not what either of us wanted, he said, but I want you to know that I will do everything I can to make you comfortable here. What are your expectations of me? Zara asked, keeping her voice formal. Jake exchanged a look with Amy before answering. I expect you to be yourself. Nothing more, nothing less. This was not the answer Zara had prepared for. I do not understand. Come inside, Jake said. Let me show you around and then we can talk. The house was beautiful inside, with high ceilings and large windows that let in plenty of light. The furniture was comfortable but not fancy, and artwork from many different worlds decorated the walls. This is your room, Jake said. opening a door to show her a large bedroom with its own bathroom and sitting area. You have complete privacy here. The door has a lock that only you control. Zara stared at the room. It was bigger than her entire apartment back on Valonia. This is all for me? Of course, Jake said. Everyone needs their own space. But we are married now, Zara said. Do we not share a room? Jake's face turned red and he looked uncomfortable. Only if that's what you want. I won't force you into anything, Zara. The marriage contract may be legal, but it doesn't give me the right to control your life. Amy stepped forward. What Jake is trying to say is that humans believe in something called consent. It means that both people in a relationship must agree to everything that happens between them. This was completely different from what Zara knew about marriage. On Valonia, a wife belonged to her husband's family and had to obey his wishes. The idea that she could say no to anything seemed impossible. I don't understand human customs, Zara admitted. That's okay, Jake said. We'll learn about each other as we go. For now, why don't you rest and get settled in? Tomorrow I can show you around the city if you'd like. Over the next few days, Zara explored New Haven with Amy as her guide. She learned that the city had schools where children from all species learned together. There were hospitals that treated everyone equally. Regardless of what world they came from, the government was run by elected officials and every adult citizen could vote, even if they were not human. How do you make decisions if everyone gets to choose? Zara asked. On Valonia, the Council of Elders made all important choices. Sometimes it's messy, Amy admitted. People argue and disagree. But in the end, we usually find solutions that work for most people. It's not perfect, but it's fair. Zara also learned that Jake's trading company was different from what she expected. Instead of trying to cheat other species, Jake worked hard to understand their needs and find deals that benefited everyone. His employees spoke about him with respect, not fear. Jake saved my life, said Crix, a Kesson who worked in the warehouse. My family was starving on our homeworld because of corrupt officials. Jake gave me a job and helped me bring my family here. Now my children go to school and have a future. One evening, as Zara sat in the garden reading about human history, Jake joined her on the bench. Can I ask you something? He said. Zara nodded. What do you think of humans now that you've been here for a week? Zara considered her answer carefully. You are not what I expected. I was taught that humans are violent and selfish, but everyone I have met has been kind to me. Jake was quiet for a moment. My people have done terrible things in the past, he said. We fought wars against each other for thousands of years. We enslaved and oppressed those who were different from us, but we learned that treating others badly only makes everyone suffer. How did you learn this? Zara asked. Through pain and loss, Jake replied. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times, but each time we chose to be better. We decided that everyone deserves freedom and respect, no matter where they come from or what they look like. Before Zara could respond, Amy came running out of the house, looking worried. Jake, we have a problem, she said. There's a young Valonian at the spaceport asking questions about Zara. He claims to be her brother. Zara's heart skipped. Ben, she whispered. He followed me here. Is that bad? Jake asked. Zara stood up quickly. Very bad. If he sees how you treat me, if he sees that I am happy here, he will think I have betrayed our people. He will try to take me back to Valonia. Jake stood up too. Then we'll go talk to him together. Maybe we can help him understand? You don't know my brother, Zara said. He hates humans. He believes all the old stories about your cruelty and violence. If he sees me defending you, he will think you have poisoned my mind. What do you want to do? Jake asked. Zara looked at this human who had given her freedom instead of chains, respect instead of demands. In just 1 week, he had shown her more kindness than she had expected to receive in 5 years. I want to talk to him, she said, but I want you there with me. It's time Ben learned the truth about humans. As they walked toward the spaceport, Zara realized that her feelings about the marriage contract were already changing. What had started as a burden was beginning to feel like an opportunity. She was learning about a completely different way of life, one that valued her thoughts and opinions. But she also knew that Ben's arrival would test everything she was beginning to believe. Her brother represented her old life, her old beliefs, and her family's expectations. She would have to choose between the world she had known and the world she was discovering. And for the first time since leaving Valonia, Zara was not sure which choice she would make. 3 months had passed since Zara arrived on New Haven, and her life had changed in ways she never expected. Every morning, she went to work at Jake's trading company, where her knowledge of Valonian customs and trade laws proved more valuable than anyone had imagined. The Kalari merchants want to add a ritual blessing clause to the contract, Amy said, looking frustrated as she read the latest trade proposal. I have no idea what that means. Zara smiled as she took the document. It means they want to have their priests bless the goods before shipping. It's very important to them. If we agree to this, they will trust us with bigger contracts in the future. Jake looked up from his desk. How long would that delay shipping? Only 2 days, Zara replied. But it will make them our partners for life. The Kalari never forget respect shown to their traditions. Jake nodded. Then we agree to it. Thank you, Zara. Without your help, we would have lost this deal. This happened almost every day now. Zara found herself solving problems that had puzzled human traders for years. She knew which words would offend the proud Zentani, how to negotiate with the careful Brevins, and why the Asians always demanded odd numbers in their contracts. For the first time in her life, people listened to her ideas and valued her knowledge. On Valonia, women were expected to stay quiet during business meetings. Here Jake often asked for her opinion first. You're brilliant at this, Amy told her one afternoon. Have you ever thought about starting your own trading company? The idea shocked Zara. Women cannot own businesses on Valonia. But you're not on Valonia anymore, Amy pointed out. Here anyone can start a business if they have good ideas and work hard. That evening Jake asked Zara to join him in his study. She had learned that this was where he went when he wanted to have serious conversations. I need to tell you something, he said, looking nervous. I've been working with lawyers to find a way to end our marriage contract early, without hurting your family. Zara felt a strange disappointment. You want me to leave? No, Jake said quickly. That's not what I meant. I want you to have the choice to stay or go. The contract forces you to be here. That's not right. Jake pulled out a thick folder of papers. Human law has something called duress, which means a contract made under threat is not valid. If we can prove that you were forced into this marriage, the courts might cancel it. But then my family's debt would return, Zara said. I've thought of that too, Jake replied. My company makes enough profit that I could pay the debt myself. Your family would be free, and you could choose what you want to do with your life. Zara stared at him. You would give up 8 million credits for my freedom? Freedom isn't something you can put a price on, Jake said. My ancestors fought a war over that idea. They believed that every person has the right to choose their own path in life. Before Zara could respond, the communication device on Jake's desk began beeping urgently. Amy's voice came through the speaker. Jake, we have a problem. 3 Valonian ships just entered the system. They're requesting permission to land. Zara's blood turned cold. An inspection team, she whispered. The next morning, 5 Valonian officials arrived at Jake's house. Zara recognized her cousin Ryan Veltar among them, along with Trade Inspector Vex Lortan, a stern woman known for her strict enforcement of traditional customs. Zara Veltar, Inspector Lortan said formally, we have come to ensure that your marriage contract is being honored properly. Jake stepped forward. Welcome to New Haven, please come inside. We'll answer any questions you have. Inspector Lortan looked at Jake with obvious disgust. We will speak with the wife first. Alone. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Jake said politely but firmly. On New Haven, spouses have the right to be present during any official interviews. Human laws do not apply to Valonian citizens, Inspector Lortan replied coldly. Actually, they do, Jake said, pulling out a legal document. When Zara signed the marriage contract, she became a legal resident of New Haven. She has all the rights and protections of our laws. Ryan stepped forward, his face dark with anger. You see, Zara, they twist words and hide behind their papers. This is how humans take everything from us. Zara looked at her cousin, then at Jake, then back at the inspection team. She realized this was the moment when she would have to choose between her old life and her new one. Inspector Lortan, she said formally, I will answer your questions, but I choose to have my husband present. This is my right under both human and Valonian law. Inspector Lortan's eyes narrowed. Very well. Tell us about your living conditions. For the next hour, Zara answered their questions honestly. She told them about her private rooms, her work at the trading company, and how Jake treated her with respect. The more she talked, the angrier the inspectors became. This is completely wrong, Ryan said finally. A wife should serve her husband's household, not work outside the home like a common laborer. I'm not a laborer, Zara replied. I'm a trade specialist. My knowledge and skills are valued here. Your skills were always valued, Inspector Lortan said, but a proper wife uses them to serve her family, not to make profit for strangers. Jake is not a stranger, Zara said. He is my husband, and his success is my success. Listen to yourself. Ryan shouted. You defend these humans as if they were your own people. They have poisoned your mind with their strange ideas about equality and choice. Jake had remained quiet during most of the conversation, but now he spoke up. With respect, Mr. Veltar, Zara's ideas are her own. No one here has tried to change her beliefs. You lie, Ryan said. No Valonian woman would speak as she does unless she had been corrupted. Then maybe, Zara said quietly. Valonian women have never been allowed to speak freely before. The room fell silent. Inspector Lortan stared at Zara with shock and disappointment. You have forgotten who you are, the inspector said. You have forgotten your people, your culture, your place in the natural order. No, Zara replied. I have learned who I could be if given the chance. That evening, after the inspection team left for their hotel, warning signals began blaring throughout the city. Amy burst into the house looking frightened. Pirates, she said. A whole fleet of them just came out of hyperspace. They're demanding we surrender all the cargo ships in orbit. Jake immediately began putting on a protective vest and checking his weapon. How many ships do we have up there? 12 cargo vessels, Amy replied, including the Valonian grain transport that arrived yesterday. The grain ship has no weapons, Zara said. If the pirates attack it, everyone on board will die. Jake was already heading for the door. Then we need to get up there and help with the defense. Zara grabbed his arm. This is not your fight. Those are Valonian workers on that ship, not your people. Jake stopped and looked at her with surprise. Zara, they're people. That's all that matters. For the next 6 hours, Jake piloted a small defense ship alongside New Haven's security forces, helping to evacuate the cargo vessels and fight off the pirate attack. He risked his life repeatedly to save crew members from the damaged grain transport, including several Valonians who had never seen a human before. When the battle was over and the pirates had fled, Zara watched Jake climb out of his damaged ship, exhausted but smiling because everyone had been saved. Ryan, who had witnessed the entire battle from the planet's surface, stood nearby with a confused expression. Why did he do that? Ryan asked Zara. Those were our people on that ship, not his. Zara looked at Jake, who was now helping wounded crew members get medical attention, and finally understood what he had been trying to tell her about human values. Because, she said to her cousin, he believes that all people are his people. Ryan shook his head in disbelief. But Zara saw something in his eyes that had not been there before. For the first time, her cousin was beginning to question what he had always believed about humans. That night, as Zara sat beside Jake while a medic treated his injuries from the battle, she realized that her feelings about the marriage contract had completely changed. She no longer saw herself as a prisoner paying her family's debt. She was beginning to see herself as part of something larger, something that valued courage, compassion, and the belief that everyone deserved protection and respect. But she also knew that her transformation was far from over, and that much harder choices lay ahead. The message came on a quiet morning when Zara was working in the garden behind Jake's house. She had learned to love the peaceful moments before the trading company opened, when she could watch the sunrise and think about how much her life had changed. Amy found her there, holding a communication device with a grim expression. Zara, there's a message for you from Valonia. It's marked urgent. Zara's hand shook as she took the device. The face of her uncle Dex Veltar appeared on the screen, but his usual stern expression was replaced by sadness. Zara, he said, I have difficult news. Your father passed away yesterday from heart failure. The funeral will be held in 5 days according to our traditions. The council expects you to return immediately to fulfill your duties as his eldest daughter. The device fell from Zara's hands as the message continued. There is more you must know. The council has reviewed your marriage arrangement and found it unsatisfactory. You have been away too long and have forgotten our ways. You must return home permanently and accept a proper marriage to restore our family's honor. Jake appeared beside her. Having heard the commotion, he picked up the device and listened to the rest of the message. If you do not return within 7 days, Uncle Dex continued, the council will declare you dead to all Valonians. You will never be welcome on our world again, and your family will bear the shame of your abandonment forever. The screen went dark. Zara sat in silence, feeling like her heart had been torn in half. Her father was dead, and she had not been there to say goodbye. Now her family needed her, but returning would mean giving up everything she had learned about freedom and choice. Jake knelt beside her chair. "Zara, I'm so sorry about your father. What can I do to help?" "You can let me go," she whispered. "The marriage contract still has 2 years left, but my family needs me now." "Of course you can go," Jake said immediately. "You don't need my permission." "But Zara, you don't have to stay there if you don't want to." Zara looked at him through her tears. "You don't understand. If I go back, I won't be able to leave again. They'll make sure of that." Jake was quiet for a moment, then stood up and walked toward the house. "Wait here," he said. "I need to get something." He returned with a data pad and a small bag of credit chips. "The lawyers finished their work last week," he said. "The marriage contract can be legally dissolved due to the duress clause. And this," he held up the bag, "is 8 million credits. Enough to pay your family's debt in full." Zara stared at the credits in shock. "Jake, that's your life savings. You can't give this away." "It's not giving it away," Jake replied. "It's buying your freedom. That's the best investment I could ever make." "But why?" Zara asked. "Why would you do this for me?" Jake sat down beside her and took her hands in his. "Because 3 years ago I was forced into this marriage contract by my business partners. They said it was necessary for trade relations. I felt terrible about it, knowing that some woman would be trapped because of my career." He squeezed her hands gently. "But then you came here and I got to know you. You're brilliant, kind, and stronger than you realize. You deserve the right to choose your own path in life. That's what being human has taught me everyone deserves." Zara felt fresh tears coming. "What if I choose to come back to you?" Jake smiled sadly. "Then I'll be the happiest man in the galaxy. But it has to be your choice made freely, without any pressure or contracts forcing you." 2 days later, Zara boarded a transport ship back to Valonia. Jake and Amy came to see her off, along with many of her co-workers from the trading company. "Remember what you've learned here," Amy said, hugging her goodbye. "Don't let anyone convince you that you're worth less than you are." "Take care of yourself," Jake said simply. "And know that you'll always have a home here if you want it." The journey to Valonia took 3 days, and with each passing hour, Zara felt the weight of her old world pressing down on her. By the time she arrived at her family's home, she felt like she was drowning in memories of submission and silence. Her mother, Elena, embraced her with tears, but Zara could see the disappointment in her eyes. "You look different," Elena said. "Harder, more human." The funeral was held according to ancient Valonian traditions. Zara stood silent while male relatives spoke about her father's life and achievements. Women were not allowed to speak at funerals, something she had forgotten after living among humans for so long. After the ceremony, the family gathered in their home to discuss the future. Uncle Dex, who was now the head of their family, made the situation clear. "The council has found a suitable husband for Zara," he announced. "Dex Morton is a wealthy merchant with ships and property. He is willing to marry her despite her contamination by human customs." Zara's younger sister, Mia, now 17, looked at her with wide eyes. "What was it like living with humans, sister?" she whispered when the men were not listening. "Different," Zara replied carefully. "Very different. Different how?" Mia pressed. "Were they cruel to you? Did they make you work in terrible conditions?" Zara looked at her sister's eager face and realized that Mia was hungry for something more than the limited life Valonian women were expected to live. "They treated me like an equal," Zara said quietly. "They listened to my ideas and valued my knowledge. I had my own room, my own work, my own choices." "That sounds wonderful," Mia breathed. "I wish I could see a place like that." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Dex Morton himself. He was a large, imposing man in his 50s, with the confident bearing of someone used to being obeyed. "So this is my future wife," he said, looking Zara up and down like she was livestock. "You are older than I prefer, and your time among humans has clearly affected your posture and manner. But you are still attractive enough, and our marriage will restore your family's honor." Zara felt disgust rise in her throat, but she forced herself to remain calm. "What would you expect from a wife, Mr. Morton?" "Obedience, silence, and children," he replied bluntly. "You will run my household, bear my sons, and forget whatever nonsense the humans taught you about equality." That night, Zara lay in her childhood bed and stared at the ceiling. Through her window, she could hear the ocean waves that had once brought her comfort. Now they sounded like chains. Her brother Ben knocked softly on her door. "Zara, may I come in?" She opened the door to find Ben looking older and more serious than when she had left. I need to ask you something, he said, and I want an honest answer. Were the humans good to you? Zara studied her brother's face. Why do you ask? Because I've been thinking about what I saw in New Haven, Ben replied. The way they fought to protect our grain ship. The way that human Jake risked his life for people he didn't even know. It doesn't match what we were taught about them. Zara sat on her bed and patted the space beside her. The humans were better to me than I ever imagined possible, Ben. They gave me freedom, respect, and the chance to use my mind for something meaningful. Ben was quiet for a long moment. Then why did you come back? Because you are my family, Zara replied. Because I love you and Mother and Mia, even if I don't love our customs anymore. What will you do? Ben asked. Before Zara could answer, Mia appeared in the doorway, having obviously been listening. Take me with you, Mia said desperately. Please, Zara. I can't bear the thought of living like Mother, silent and powerless for the rest of my life. Zara felt her heart breaking. Her sister was looking at her with the same hope she had once felt when Jake first showed her kindness. Mia, it's not that simple, Zara began. Yes, it is, Mia interrupted. You have a choice. You can stay here and marry that awful man, or you can return to the humans and live freely, and you can take me with you. If we both leave, Zara said, Mother will be alone. Our family's shame will be complete. If you stay, Ben said quietly, you'll be miserable for the rest of your life, and Mia will follow the same path. Zara looked at her siblings and realized that her choice would affect not just her own future, but theirs as well. She could submit to tradition and save her family's honor, or she could choose freedom and possibly save her sister's life. The next morning, the council would meet to hear her decision. Zara had until dawn to choose between the world she had always known and the world she had discovered among the humans. As she lay in bed that night, listening to the ocean waves, Zara finally understood what Jake had meant when he said that freedom was priceless. The question was whether she had the courage to pay its cost. The council chamber was filled with the most important Valonians on the homeworld. Zara stood before them in her traditional mourning robes, feeling the weight of centuries of tradition pressing down on her shoulders. Her mother, Elena, sat in the family section, her face pale with worry. Beside her, Mia clutched Ben's hand, both of them waiting to hear what Zara would decide. Council leader Vorn Talseth spoke in his deep, commanding voice. Zara Veltar, you have brought shame to your family and your people by living among humans and adopting their unnatural ways. Today you will choose your path forward. He gestured toward Dex Mortan, who sat confidently in the front row. Accept marriage to a proper Valonian husband. Renounce your association with humans and restore your family's honor. Or choose exile and be declared dead to all Valonians forever. Zara looked around the chamber at faces she had known since childhood. These people had taught her their language, their customs, their beliefs about how the world should work. They had given her everything they thought she needed to live a proper life, but now she knew there was more to life than just being proper. Honored Council, Zara said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. I thank you for the gift of my Valonian heritage. You taught me to value honor, family, and tradition. These lessons will always be part of who I am. She paused and looked directly at Council Leader Talseth. But you also taught me that women should be silent, that choice is dangerous, and that other species are inferior to us. These lessons I cannot accept anymore. Angry murmurs rose from the crowd, but Zara continued. I have seen a different way of living. I have seen what happens when people are free to choose their own paths, when they are judged by their actions rather than their species or gender. You speak of corruption, Dex Mortan interrupted, standing up angrily. The humans have poisoned your mind with their false ideas about equality. The humans showed me something you never did, Zara replied calmly. They showed me that I have value beyond my ability to bear children and obey commands. They gave me work that mattered, opinions that were heard, and choices that were respected. Council Leader Talseth struck his staff against the floor for silence. Choose now, Zara Veltar. Marriage or exile. Zara took a deep breath and made her decision. I choose freedom. I choose exile. The chamber erupted in shocked voices, but Zara was not finished, and I am not leaving alone. She turned toward her family section. Mia, Ben, the transport ship leaves in 2 hours. If you want to see what a free life looks like, come with me. Mia jumped up immediately. Yes, she said, tears of joy running down her face. I want to go with you. Ben stood more slowly, looking torn between duty and desire. What about Mother? What about our family obligations? I release you both from all obligations, Elena said quietly, standing up in the family section. Everyone turned to stare at her in surprise. I have watched my husband work himself to death trying to maintain traditions that brought us nothing but debt and misery. I will not watch my children do the same. Elena, Uncle Dex shouted. You cannot speak in the council chamber. I am the mother of these children, Elena replied with dignity. I have the right to release them from family bonds. Council leader Talseth pounded his staff again. This is highly irregular. The family's honor died with our debt, Elena interrupted. My children deserve the chance to build something better. To everyone's surprise, another voice spoke up from the back of the chamber. I would like to go with them as well. Ryan Veltar stepped forward, looking nervous but determined. I have seen how humans treat other species with respect. I have watched them risk their lives to save our people. I want to learn more about their ways. The chamber fell into stunned silence. 3 members of a respected Valonian family were choosing exile over tradition. Council leader Talseth's face was dark with rage. So be it. All of you are declared dead to Valonia. You may never return. We understand, Zara said. Thank you for making our choice clear. The journey back to New Haven took 5 days, and with each passing hour, Zara felt lighter. Mia spent the entire trip asking questions about human society, while Ben and Ryan studied human trade laws and customs. Will they accept us? Ryan asked nervously. We have no skills that humans need. They'll give you the chance to develop skills, Zara assured him. That's what humans do. They believe everyone has potential. When their ship landed at New Haven spaceport, Zara was amazed to see a crowd waiting for them. Jake stood at the front, smiling broadly, with Amy beside him. Behind them were dozens of her co-workers from the trading company, as well as beings from many different species who had heard about her return. Welcome home, Jake said, embracing her gently. Is it home? Zara asked. I'm not your contracted wife anymore. I'm just a refugee now. Jake stepped back and pulled out a folder of papers. Actually, I have something to show you. While you were gone, I worked with human rights lawyers to establish something new. It's called the Alien Freedom Foundation. He opened the folder to show her legal documents and financial records. We've created a legal pathway for aliens trapped in forced marriages or oppressive situations to gain asylum on human worlds. We provide housing, job training, and legal protection. Amy stepped forward with another set of papers. And these are adoption papers for Mia. If she signs them, she becomes a legal citizen of New Haven with full rights and protections. Mia took the papers with shaking hands. I can really be free here? As free as anyone else, Jake replied. You can go to school, choose your own career, marry whoever you want, or not marry at all. The choice is yours. Ben looked around at the diverse crowd of beings welcoming them. And you'll help us find work? We'll help you find your potential, Amy corrected. The work will follow naturally. Over the next few weeks, Zara watched her siblings flourish in their new environment. Mia enrolled in the local university to study xenobiology. Ben began training as a pilot for the trading company. Ryan, despite his initial fears, became fascinated with human engineering and started working in Amy's technical department. One evening, as Zara and Jake walked through the gardens behind their house, he stopped and turned to face her. I have a question for you, he said, looking nervous for the first time since she had known him. What is it? Jake pulled out a small box and opened it to reveal a simple but beautiful ring. Zara Veltar, would you marry me? Not because of contracts or debts or business arrangements, but because you choose to. Zara looked at the ring, then at Jake's hopeful face, then at the city lights of New Haven stretching out around them. This place had given her sister education, her brother's purpose, and herself the greatest gift of all, the power to choose. Yes, she said, taking the ring. I choose you, Jake Morrison. I choose this life. I choose freedom. Their wedding 3 months later became something unprecedented in the galaxy. Beings from dozens of different worlds came to witness a marriage based not on tradition, duty, or profit, but on mutual choice and respect. The ceremony itself was a blend of customs from many cultures. Zara wore traditional Valonian blue, while Jake wore the formal clothes of his human ancestors. They exchanged vows in multiple languages, promising to support each other's dreams and respect each other's choices. Elena surprised everyone by attending the ceremony, having made the journey from Valonia despite her exile. My daughter has found something I never had, she told the crowd. The freedom to choose love over duty. I am proud of her courage. After the wedding, Zara threw herself into expanding the Alien Freedom Foundation. She helped create safe houses for refugees, established job training programs, and worked with human lawyers to strengthen legal protections for aliens seeking asylum. But her greatest achievement was the network of communication she built among oppressed beings throughout the galaxy. Young people on dozens of worlds began to hear stories about New Haven, about places where freedom was possible, where choices were respected. "You did something amazing," Jake told her one evening as they watched Mia graduate from university with honors in xenobiology. "You showed people that they don't have to accept the world as it is. They can help build the world as it should be." Zara smiled as she watched her sister receive her diploma, remembering the frightened young woman who had begged to come with her years ago. Now Mia was planning to become a doctor who would help heal beings from many different worlds. "The humans taught me something important," Zara replied. "Freedom isn't something you can give to someone. It's something you help them discover they already have." As they walked home through the streets of New Haven, past families of different species sharing meals together, past children of all kinds playing in the parks, past businesses where anyone could succeed, based on their merit rather than their birth, Zara reflected on the strange journey that had brought her here. She had been sold as payment for a debt, expecting to find slavery. Instead, she had found a people who believed that everyone deserved the right to choose their own destiny. The humans had given her something worth more than any amount of credits. They had given her the knowledge that she was free. And now, with Jake beside her and her siblings building their own free lives around her, Zara knew that this gift of choice was something she would spend the rest of her